Hello and welcome to the Kerfuffle podcast with me, David Mintz, and Supreme Leader and Chief Kerfuffler, Mr. Simon Whale.
Morning, David. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm very well, thank you. This morning we are joined by Louis from the Proptech company Tennoc.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. We'll be hearing more from Louis later.
That wasn't it.
That's it.
Bye.
Short outtakes from the best in the industry.
Give him his check and send him over.
Don't forget we made you.
Exciting podcast we have for you all today. Episode 4 officially kicking off 20th of January with a bang. So today, did you know that today is known as Blue Monday? And it's meant to be the most depressing Monday of the whole year. It even has a mathematical formula that's loosely based around the fact that it's January. You've been sober for too long. What, for about a day?
Mate,
at least?
Blue Monday, we beat United yesterday and I got the 9 o'clock train.
Well, you've done well for Blue Monday.
Yeah, January.
So you've given up drinking, that's made you miserable. You've made New Year's resolutions, and now you've had long enough to break those New Year's resolutions. So
you got no money.
You got no money. The last paycheck was probably before Christmas, a time so far away from now that it seems like an event that happened in another lifetime. If you're self-employed, you've got self-assessment tax returns that need to be filed, with that first payment due at the end of January. However, do we have the perfect tonic to help you get over those blues? And there is no greater tonic than the news of exceptional people doing wonderful things. And our Agents for Oz, the campaign that we launched during last episode, went live just 10 days ago to raise awareness and much needed funds for the victim of the Australian bushfires. Now raised a grand total of £7,813, which, as you know, in my book, is basically 10 grand. In Proptech
You've rounded it up.
Rep maths, you just need to sell one more house.
One
and
more
you've
listing.
broken £10,000. So we're basically already there.
Yeah, well, that's good. I tell you what's really great, and thanks to everyone, by the way, who has made some fantastic donations there. Been lovely to see. I think there's some massive donations there, and I don't want to mention everyone who's done them, but it'd be lovely to start seeing just some little ones going as well, because really every little one does count over there, and the fires are still raging out of control. So
every penny counts. I'm not going to mention them all by name, but Jerry Lyons, his Karma Club, Jackie Dickinson, Charles Robinson, Ryan Wolfenden, Christian Byfeld, Spencer Lawrence, Tom, Luke Sinclair, and some bloke called Simon Whale, who I've never heard of.
Nice.
And there is one anonymous one, which is obviously me, isn't it? All the anonymous donations that will start to come in from now.
Do you know who it was? It was from an Aussie, because they didn't know whether they were allowed to do it. So they dropped me a line offline just to say, sorry, I went anonymous.
Oh, thanks for that, Simon. Okay, well...
And that was Tanya, by the way.
Where's she from?
Australia, I told you.
I know she's from Australia.
Okay.
Where's she from?
O'Brien Estates.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for some industry news. So the Boris bounce continues. Where were you when the Boris economic miracle happened, Simon?
Yeah. Where will I be?
Where
will I be? Yeah. No, I'm just, I'm absorbing it.
Yeah.
We've been vanquished.
You're happy with it?
We're vanquished. The Remainers lost, and I'm, you know me, I don't keep fighting, do I?
No, never gives up.
Saying I told you so for the rest of my life, however, I will be doing that.
Well, you can join your wife with that mantra. So, agents up and down the country are citing an unprecedented run of superb levels of buyer interest, sales, and new vendor instructions so far. Being reported everywhere. Even London agents reporting that the market has come back. Hell, even the RICS with their famous poll of at least maybe 9 or 10 agents has confirmed that we can all be cheerful about this. How long will it last? Will the shadowy spectre of Brexit end this run?
Well, it's good. Isn't it surely going to have to when at the end of the month they find out that we are back to the same place in negotiating and hard Brexit is back on the agenda for the rest of the year? So.
As long as people keep buying houses.
I don't know. I think you've got to see a 6-month bounce back, haven't you, before it tightens again? But who knows?
Well, so far it's been an absolutely fantastic January, and we'll see where we all get to with the March budget that comes out.
Well, it's a mindset thing as much as anything, isn't it? It's taking the uncertainty out of it. So
In other industry news, Winkworths have increased the dividend payable to shareholders based on improvements there. And Purple Bricks have stated that they have placed 50,000 properties under offer in 2019, more than any other single agent, which goes to show that there's at least 50,000 idiots alive and well in this country. The Property Franchise Group has experienced a sharp increase in share prices after announcing the launch of its financial services division. It's like 2006 all over again. Compulsory electrical safety checks are due to be brought in later this year. Yet another change that will cost UK landlords thousands, if not millions. According to Chris Watkin, it will cost landlords £1.3 billion and is being hailed by electricians the length and breadth of the country as our time. A licence to print money for any Sparky. Chancellors have opened their another branch in their 8th county in the UK. Significant and newsworthy? According to Property Industry Eye, yes. On the Whaley scale, maybe only a 4 or a 5.
Yes.
Something that scores a 10 on the Whaley scale, Newsometer, is the news that Rutland has long been the only county in the UK to be McDonald's free.
Yeah, they've resisted,
and it will now get its first drive-through.
Thank God for those good people.
I expect you to be there to cut the red ribbon on that one.
It is like Hamburglar.
In other news, did you see the news this morning?
No.
So this morning, I'm just going to bring it up, but Star estate agent quits firm after being sued after house goes on Instagram. So basically, the agent had taken a picture of the house, put it on Instagram as quote-unquote property porn, and they've now been sued. They've had to move on, and it's a warning to agents up and down the country to stop this practice that we're going to refer to on the Kerfuffle podcast as property upskirting forevermore. We're going to ban that. Campaign against it.
Yeah, well, that sounds good.
Okay.
I've got a bit of news myself
Go
as
on.
well. We had a bit of Huggy Bear news, haven't we? I think yourself were one of the many agents that were quite interested in a company called Active Pipe that
Yes.
launched over here.
Yeah.
Great fanfare, really good-looking product. And then it's just been a bit quiet recently, to the degree that a lot of people had been asking whether it gone out of business or stopped or anything else. I dropped the main guys over there a line just to get a bit of clarification on it. And apparently it's not quite that they've pulled out completely, but they're no longer supporting feet on the ground, they said, in the UK anymore. Only taking on clients that are on integrated CRM solutions like Repit and DevRes and Rex. And support's going to be handled by global support function in South East. So it's a bit of a weird one, that is. At one point, it looked like it really had the whole market laid out, but I think you'd had a look at it, had you, as well?
Yeah, we'd had a look at it. It seemed to sort of talk to our CRM, which was important.
A bit of a strange one. So some big companies were using it as well,
Yeah.
so it'd be interesting to see
I think
how
they
get
had,
on.
from the people that I spoke to, I think they had 25 companies signed up to it, which isn't enough, really.
Not to have that. It's a big
moment.
deal opening up, as we found when we were at Repit opening up in Australia. It's a big deal once you've got that footprint. Yeah. But anyway, we'll stay in touch with those. They are still taking orders online apparently, but nothing enterprise level.
Fantastic. In other news, I've been busy looking for a sponsor for the
Yes.
show, as you know. I had a really good long think about who would make a great sponsor.
Yeah, because Rightmove, we'd sent a few love letters there, and
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything back yet, have we?
And no, we didn't hear anything back from Rightmove. I got an invoice from them, which is the usual. But I got to thinking, who is and who was Simon Wales' favourite supplier? And then it hit me. There's only one company that consistently dominated your news feeds on social media. Simon's favourite supplier is Greggs by a country mile. So
To be honest, I'm quite glad you said it was them at the end.
So I've taken the opportunity of writing to them. I'll read the letters out. I've had a response from them. So here we go.
So can I just stress that this was meant to be very much me and you working together on podcast material, and it seems you've gone a little bit beyond your remit.
You go to the football.
And then you do the work.
And this is what I do when I'm on the toilet. So everybody's got a hobby, Simon. Dear Mr. Greggs, because that's his name, I'm writing to you this very day from the Kerfuffle podcast. The what, you may say, but really you mean is the who. And the answer to that is Simon Whale. A name that sends a shiver down the spine of your customer loyalty department. A super fan of your particular brand of nutritious baked goods. Together with Simon, I host the fastest growing estate agency and property industry related blog in the UK.
Can we not change that to newest?
Also newest. With more than 200 listeners, we hope to attract at least another 50 listeners by 2021. You might say this is ambitious, but it's estate agents and Proptech reps that are a demographic that have no time for lunch and opt instead for a convenient snack on the go. And that to me says Greggs.
Yeah.
Now, for only £1,000 per episode, or for just £52,000 a year, you can sponsor our fantastic podcast. And in the spirit of paying it forward, we will donate at least 50% of that back to one of your shops. Simon's weekly lunch order. Just as a point of order, Simon Whale currently spends at least £3,000 a month with your company, so really it swings and roundabouts. Let me know. Hope to hear back from you soon. All my love, Dave. P.S. Here is a picture of Simon Whale wearing his Greggs logoed Christmas jumper as proof of his superfan status. And I'm going to post that online as well so everybody can see that. Anyway,
Just to clarify, you've actually sent that.
I've actually sent that.
Lovely.
That's gone to greg.greggs@greggs.com. That's his email address.
I should be angry, but there's no part of me that
Why
finds
should
that.
you be
I don't
angry? I'm
know.
going to get 52 grand
feels
from
like
Greg.
you.
That's what we're going to get.
Okay, we.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take a
yeah.
small percentage of that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know one thing I found out about Greggs? Because obviously I am a little bit obsessed. Do you know they do clearance stores as well that sell the stuff the next day, or sorry, the previous days, but it's all cold. But it's even cheaper, if you can believe that, than it is there.
So if you've got
but it's
a
only cold
microwave-
stuff. You have to take it home and you have to do it. Yeah. So anyway, it's pretty.
Mind-blowing.
You know, just
Mind-blowing.
the innovation that these guys have.
They are leading the way.
Well,
They're
I
leading
can
the
see
way.
Louis desperate to jump in here in terms of how we were going to obviously bring Greggs into the world of Proptech.
Well, we're going to bring it back, but I've heard back from Greg since then. Dear
What's
Mr.
up,
Mintz, Greggs doesn't generally remember individual customers. However, the toilets at our Western Supermare branch have never been the same since Mr. Whale's impromptu visit last year. That being said, we find your sponsorship demands to be excessive.
Yeah.
And to reach just over 200 listeners, and Mr. Whale, although well connected and respected as he might be within your industry, doesn't necessarily represent the healthy eating icon that we're looking for at this time. Additionally, we must point out that the Greggs logo is a protected corporate identity of Greggs PLC, and therefore Mr. Whale must cease and desist from wearing that jumper, which is a gross violation of our copyright, possibly even the Human Rights Act. Yours sincerely, Mr. Greggs. P.S. Here is a picture of my wife wearing a Kerfuffle t-shirt. See, it's not so much fun now. Well, actually, Mr. Greggs, we're such a tension horse here that you can get as many people to wear a Kerfuffle t-shirt as you want. It helps us.
Screw them then, basically.
No, I'm going to put them down as a maybe. That's a strong maybe.
We're having that as a support. We've added notes of interest.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to let you know, Right Move, it is still available. Just wait. You've heard that price was a little bit low.
But with Rightmove, obviously we've got 3 separate charging brackets.
Course.
We've got the
Platinum.
OptiGG Miser 2020 plan.
Yeah.
Which it's fully logoed up and every bit of the page.
And we stay loyal to them.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And
We have a whorish lower one where we don't.
Have you ever sat with a Rightmove rep before?
Yeah, but not in your context.
Okay, all right. So in my context, I've been visited this month already by a Zoopla rep and a Rightmove rep. And
it is a visitation. It feels like
completely.
Yeah.
It's a violation and a visitation. Well, they came to see us, and we want to know what's new and what's going on. And genuinely, I think in terms of innovation within that sphere, they've taken it about as far as they can. So the best that they can offer us right now is they will. Is basically more brand awareness, but in the same place that you've already got your brand. So you open up a property page. It's got your logo on it anyway. they will now, for an extra £1,000 or something, allow you to put another logo just to the right of that. And again, it's something that both Zoopla and Rightmove are doing, and it shows me that there's really
No
very little
innovation.
added value that they can bring to the table. And I think their biggest competitor right now, not on the market, and it's not other portals, but it's social media.
Yeah.
And in fact, yesterday I was...
A lot of people saying that, aren't there?
Yeah, loads and loads. I spoke to Oliver James, who, as you know,
Yep.
does
Great local
masses
agent.
of social media, particularly in sort of M44, which is Earlham and Cadishead in Manchester. And Oliver's big thing is video. And I asked him if he were to launch a property simultaneously, as he very often does, on Rightmove and also on Facebook Live, what gets the phones ringing initially more?
Yeah.
And he says when it's local stuff, so if he's not doing an out-of-area instruction, as long as it's local, Facebook will always get those phones ringing 9 times out of 10 quicker than it will do through Rightmove, where you'd think dedicated property searchers are there. And I think what social media adds is that because it's perhaps not that focused stream of interest that you've got. So we all take it for granted that people on property portals are looking for a property.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't waste your time with it.
Yeah.
But the people on social media can be what we call accidental buyers.
Yeah.
So it's people that see something that piqued their interest. It's
And it sparks the whole thing off.
the whole conversation at home of, shall we move? I mean, you've done it.
Yeah.
That time that you bought Peter Hook's house from New Order, bringing it neatly back to Blue
Rounded it
Monday
off,
there.
yeah. We missed that opportunity now.
Even without video, I think Facebook, I mean, in the background, they have this thing called property catalogues. So we've got a few customers where they've ditched the portals. We take them.
Literally come off them all rather than
Completely.
getting... Wow, okay.
Yeah, and we
So
take their normal
You
fee.
hear those rumours about those, but, it doesn't... I don't think it comes through that much people are doing that.
And it works quite well for them. So we take their normal feed, we push it into Facebook, and
Yeah.
then they can target properties as adverts to people on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they spend, the £1,000 that they would spend on Rightmove, they spend on
They literally
Facebook ads.
own that area there. And how much does that give them? How much in terms of wider numbers of that sort of equivalent £1,000?
Huge. I think it's more effective than
Because
than
you
the
are
portals.
able to get more than your money's worth, as it were, at the
Yes,
moment.
because it's more targeted.
What happens to the problem is these are not Facebook is not a big fluffy bunny, is it? And in the way that a Google came along, Google AdWords came there, and then obviously it went flying through. The actual Google AdWords price is almost the point they're not commercially viable now. The thing that is lovely about Facebook at the moment is, I think it's right, is that the more relevant you are, the lower the price. Is that right?
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah, like
So
the
as long
more
as they
engagement.
stick with that model and they don't kind of abuse that, it should stay. It should still work, shouldn't it? Then.
Yeah, in theory, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
these property catalogues have been there for a year or so. It
Okay.
kind of just seems they're waiting for the right time to push it to more people.
I definitely think. I mean, I think everyone who talks about it knows they're a very different audience to the portals, don't you? And that's got to be the one main reason. Is there's no point in hitting the same area, is there? It's got to be a multi-level thing. There are companies. So I take it that Oliver will have either be self-taught or listen to someone like Paul Long, who does some very good stuff on Facebook. There,
Yeah, so he's used Paul Long. Jerry Lyons is responsible
Mr. Content Man?
Yeah, Mr. Content. And again, what's nice about Oliver's approach is he's sort of taken this view as very much placing himself as community agent. So he set up a fantastic initiative called Love M44. And on there, he does not sell his services in the
it's all about just becoming.
It's all about everybody.
What does Watkin call it? Your digital mayor, isn't it?
Yeah,
Becoming digital mayor of your
that's
area.
it.
Yeah.
So every school event, every charity event, anything that's happening locally, it all goes on there, and it's just a really safe and nice forum because he moderates it quite well, where people can just join up online, and it's nice because it keeps him centre of that conversation as well. Even in a passive way, and he's just been massively successful in breaking a new area.
Americans have done this very well. I don't think there's, when we've gone over to some of the shows over there, I've actually been quite surprised at how, there's that phrase, isn't there, America sneezes and we catch a cold. But actually, in terms of technology, I wasn't that impressed. I didn't think they really did. Australia, different matter, that's quite innovative. The only area where I do think they still got an edge because they're so personable is in social media, isn't it? And that was very much the recommendation is, don't be ostentatious, don't sell, but just provide that information out there and it will come back to you naturally. naturally because you're the go-to person. Other thing we should mention as well, considering that's kind of what the company is about, is there's a company out there called CCT, who the closest I can talk to is, although it's completely the wrong actual description, is they do that kind of really intelligent machine learning, which provides up to 74 different adverts based on the sort of person that's actually is looking at it, and finds other like-minded people like that, changing them on the go millions of times a second or something like that. A bit Cambridge Analytica.
I was wondering
that was exactly it. But actually, they've taken all the, and it's still all totally within the GDPR. And some of the results those guys are getting are absolutely fantastic. And because literally that machine learning finds the most relevant ones, you do get massive savings because the advert price is so low there. So, well, we should probably do a bit of a white paper on that, actually, shouldn't we? Put a bit of more information on. I interviewed Paul actually at Sandsfest last year, so I'll get a video out with him as well. And we'll talk
What's
to the other
very
guys.
interesting is the age demographic on each platform is slightly different. So if you're using Instagram, they tend to be sort of slightly younger, but you have a very distinct sort of build-up of an audience. Particularly during the day, you can get women, quite a few of our followers over there, interested in sort of lifestyle, more interested in sort of lifestyle and homes and how rooms will look and all that sort of stuff. So it's engaging content for estate agents, whereas blokes tend to sort of switch off. They only move when they're told that they're going to have to move. And on Facebook, it's a really wide demographic. So you get that younger crowd, but you've also got the grands and the grandpas up there sharing stuff. And I mean, your mum and dad are on Facebook.
They are.
Well, there you go. That was a mistake.
They just disowned me before Christmas, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how far you need to plan into the future as well. So, Facebook, obviously, most people are on there now. But Instagram, a few years ago, it was just teenagers.
Yeah.
And now you've got 20, 30, 40-year-olds on there. So these platforms tend to age up. So if you was really forward-thinking, you might look at, it sounds stupid now, but you might look at TikTok or something like that.
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah.
I had a look at it. I don't really understand it.
Simon, I reckon you could be TikTok famous by the end of the day.
I downloaded TikTok actually the other day because my daughter kept going on. We actually banned her because apparently it's not appropriate. So I thought if it's not appropriate, that I need to have a look at it.
If you've downloaded it, it's not appropriate.
So I thought I'll have a look to understand exactly what it is there. So like the other 9,000 apps on my phone, I won't ever do anything with it.
Excellent. We've already heard from him, but we should formally introduce our guest.
Yeah, that was a voice of expertise. People saying, who's that clever person in the background? Not the other two fatties talking. Yeah, so Louis, nice to have you on the show here from Tennoc. And I think it's fair to say you are the solving every estate agent's worst nightmare, isn't it? You're here as on the shining armour to just stop agents just having these horror shows.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a bit of background on the sort of what Tennoc do and that problem you solve, of course, for agents?
So Tennoc essentially is, I think you mentioned this to me yesterday actually, is Zapier for the property industry.
Well, that was how I understood it.
Do you say Zapier or Zapier?
I say Zapier, but I say Bath.
We say Zapier, and why doesn't it integrate with everything that we use?
You say
Zapier.
Are you aware of Zapier?
Yeah, so we are aware of it.
Well, let's for our listeners, because some of them won't know Zapier. Tell us what Zapier is in a broad.
So as I understand it, because Josh in my office, who is very sort of tech aware, he's younger. He's early 20s. So he set it up for us, and I understand it automates certain processes. So you can set it up to, for instance, we've got an autoresponder that works off every portal lead that we get in, and Zapier handles that. So it knows where it's sending it and what it's responding to. Now, a great joined up version of that would then put it in, make sure that it's in our CRM system, make sure it's been filed as responded to. And that's something that people like Luke Sinclair are just out there on. But a solution that connects all the different bits of tech that we use, and in any process, we're using at least one piece of software. But to join it all up together and have it talking together is the panacea.
It is, and I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. But the big point is as well, Zapier is this huge international company dealing across all genres, all different industries, isn't it? And it doesn't have too much time to spend concentrating on our wonderful little estate agency industry per se, does it? And that is my understanding really, is that whilst you have a lot of the Zapier common goals for integration, everything else is you're solely based on estate agency.
Yep.
So you'll go out there proactively looking for these companies that you know because you live and breathe within this industry and find the best ones to put together.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I think David's example of a portal autoresponder is a really good example. So using Zapier, if Rightmove changed their lead email, then your portal autoresponder would break.
Yeah.
Because it can't pass that email anymore. So we're doing the same thing, but it's specific to the property industry. So we look after those passing emails. So if Rightmove changes their email, you don't need to worry about that. We make sure that our parser is updated. And then equally, we're looking after the integrations that Zapier isn't bothered about. They don't know who even Repit are. They don't know who Dupix is. They don't know any of the CRMs.
You know the backgrounds of all of those, don't you?
Yeah. So we're trying to build relationships with them suppliers, get access to their APIs, and then Tennoc is the platform that glues them all together.
So really, you should be everybody's best friend, both agents and also suppliers, because they're all crying out for somebody to be that super connector in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, can I put that a bit of context on that? Because I mentioned it was it was solving agents' worst problems. When we first kicked off at Kerfuffle, we did a bigger survey of its type out to around 700 agencies who came back and spoke about their pain points in terms of supplier relationships. And trying to get suppliers to work with each other and integrate is so painful, was second at 39%.
Yeah.
The second, actually still probably quite relevant, was top with 42, is there's too many of them. And again, that's an issue that you're helping to solve, aren't you? Because if you're able to highlight best in breed ones there and doing the integration, dare I say, you've actually got help with those top two issues there, haven't you?
Yeah, and that's the second half of Tennoc is, so it's not just about serving agents, it's about serving suppliers as well. So agents can use Tennoc to tie their systems together in any way they see fit. So it's not one job for everyone. It's bespoke to each agent. And in terms of suppliers, if you're a new supplier, you've got 20, 30 different pieces of software to integrate with if you listen to all of your customers, which is a huge job. And as a startup, you don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
So the second half of Tennoc is what we call Relay. And it's one API that connects to all of the others. So as an example, if you need to get
one ring to bind them.
Yeah. One API to rule them all. If you need to get properties from a CRM, then you don't need to integrate with all the different CRMs. You can just say to Relay,
so
give
they
me properties.
essentially is it fair to say, would they be like outsourcing that element and just saying, we'll let you specialise and have all the burdens of support and everything else there, and we can just concentrate on our core dev in terms of there and not worry about all of that. That's quite a big thing, isn't it?
And they can just do this one integration, and they can say, give me properties, and we will grab them for whichever CRM is appropriate to that customer and return them back to them in a sane, consistent format. So it's nice and easy for them. We do the heavy lifting, and they get to concentrate on their product and like do what they do best. You know,
not being funny, but integration is a specialist skill in itself as well, isn't it? I mean, there's lots of nuances around it. I remember, my old days, the CRM company. It was, integration was just. It's always going to be a pain. They've come up with obviously that PaaS system. It'd be interesting to get your view on that there, and people like Desres going for open APIs, but they've had to come up with these quite advanced solutions because it is such a nightmare to deal with. So how do you just on that? I assume you see yourself working quite collaboratively with the CRMs rather than being seen as in any form of a threat, because you're just trying to save work wherever you can, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think we're a threat to any of the CRMs or even any of the suppliers.
Yeah.
We want to work as closely with them as possible. I mean, I won't name any names, but some suppliers are really easy to work with. You get in touch with them, they give you API details, documentation, and support help when we've got questions, and we just go and get the job done. Others, obviously, are not so helpful, but I think that is
we'll get those from you once we finish the podcast. Share those around
put
the
them on the Kerfuffle blacklist.
Kerfuffle WhatsApp group. We'll hear about those in seconds.
But it is changing over time. If you like a year, 2 years ago, almost no one had an API apart from a few CRMs, and now you're starting to see obviously Repit and various other CRMs are starting to release new APIs and new platforms, and they're realizing that integrations are important.
Yeah, and you're in a stage. What stage are you at the moment? So you're not officially launched really yet, are you? I mean, you've been working very closely with clients who are giving you great feedback at the moment. Are you able to talk about any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think because it's such a big job, we didn't just want to release to everyone and then loads of people use it and we realised there's problems. So we've been going through this process of slowly onboarding customers.
That's really clever.
Working with them to try and figure out what integrations they need and what automations they need. So when I say automations, it's not just one product to one product. They might want to automate a process in their business. So it could be a trigger in a CRM, which then does 5 other things.
I think this is a really interesting element of it. So for my simplistic, again, there's a website, I think, that handles these processes called If This Then That.
Yes.
Is that right, isn't it? And my understanding when we spoke about this is you can almost build what they call it in the same way those recipes.
Yes.
Isn't it? And that combination is where it gets really interesting. So yeah, something happening being triggered off in the CRM might output to another of the third parties, a text message company or something like that. But it doesn't stop there, does it? So you can build a quite nuanced and collaborative streak of things from within your platform very easily, can't you?
Yeah.
Without development skills, isn't it? I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, and this is why we're spending time with agents to try and figure out what those processes are that we can automate. One of my favourite ones recently is we had a customer that after every MA appointment, they wanted to send a letter to 10 surrounding properties to kind of say, we've done this, do you want to work with us? So they finished the appointment, they went back to the office, they told the admin person, they found the letter, they mail merged it in with some properties after they'd found them, then they printed them, put them in an envelope and sent them away. Whereas now, the trigger is the appointment is completed. So as soon as that's marked as completed in the CRM, then we find 10 surrounding properties via the land registry. And then we take the letter that they've given us and then we print it and post it.
That's really nice, isn't it?
So now they don't have to do anything.
That's a kerfuffle referral. Okay, that is interesting. How do you see this developing then in terms of what's your roadmap, I suppose, for this year?
So for us, it's not... The first part of the goal is just to allow people to connect their software together. But really what we want to do is show people what they can do with that data. So we're working on other products around that. So the next thing that we're working on at the minute is essentially a dashboard. So we wanted to have a play around with a physical product. So we've got a device that we can ship to agents. They can plug it into the back of a TV in their boardroom or private office anywhere. And they have dashboards that covers data from all of their software.
So all key KPIs, but coming from different softwares as well. That's interesting. So, again, I joked at the beginning, one ring to rule them, but essentially one dashboard to
and that's the idea.
That's really interesting.
Just so that they've got that data they need to run the
and
business.
that's a real problem with, you think about it, isn't it, with Proptech, which has actually had the effect of sort of, separating out, because so often the Proptech just handles a real nuanced, tiny part of the process, doesn't it? So you've got like 10 different Proptech products doing this bit, and it's breaking it all down again, isn't it? And what you're doing is bringing it all back together again by being able to report on it. And famously, of course, if you can't manage it, you can't. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, can you? So that's going to make sense. Okay, and so some of the companies you work with,
in terms of like CRMs, so a recent work that we've been doing is we've just done an integration with Repair and Replace, which is quite an interesting product.
Okay.
And we've been working quite closely recently with Olivia and Agent OS.
Oh, Olivia's good, isn't it?
Tying them two products together. So Olivia have been really good, actually. Sachin's a really nice guy. Next guest for you, actually.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
So I think they're the recent ones that we've been doing, as well as like as many of the big ones as possible. We're kind of waiting on Repit to actually launch their API, so we'll be doing that as soon as it's launched.
Yeah, I heard some news the other day they'd launched it. The commercials still haven't come out, which is a bit sort of questionable. But I mean, that's obviously everyone's, that was launched with great fanfare, and it really does look the business. How do you fit within when somebody's gone out of their way like that to kind of build that ecosystem? Is there a place for you still in there, or
definitely? I think it comes down to these automations. So it's not
you get them right, As long as you can be more innovative and come up with those, you're still. Yes. Kind of, or you just have the idea. Yeah.
And there's other parts of the platform as well. So the interesting thing we found about the Repit event was that they're allowing all these different things to happen with their platform now. but it's still not necessarily easy for people to customize things if you're not a developer.
Yeah.
So we've added things in Tennoc where if you've got some programming knowledge, you can write a little bit of code that essentially adds an app to Reaper.
Yeah, great.
So you don't need to deal with production or deployment. So if you've got an IT person in your agency, they'd have to worry about setting up servers and deploying apps and integrating with Reaper. They can just say, I want to write this little bit of code because I need to move some data into our internal system, for example.
So if we've got listeners out there, what's your perfect profile for somebody who should be talking to you at the moment? Someone who's willing to work with you in this beta stage, that's keen to have an open idea, but wants to solve, I suppose, that main issue of integration.
The perfect agent really for now is someone that's used Zapier before. So if you've used Zapier before, you've got an idea of what you would like to do, and then we can work with you to bring that into reality.
There's no education process there, is it? You're going to get it straight away, aren't you?
Yeah.
So anyone out there, obviously, who's using Zapier at the moment, we'll give you... David's winking at me, and I hope it's about this. He's already on board, so we've got the first one there, and we'll send you to... Please just drop us a line over here at podcast@kerfuffle.it, and we will forward on the details to Louis here. And I think I'm fair to say we're getting a waiting list for you, obviously, for people when we're ready to go live, aren't we? So if this sounds like the sort of thing that you will be, and I can't think of a single agent really it shouldn't be on the agenda for, please drop us a line back here. And you're going to stay with us the rest of the show, aren't you? And
I will. Yeah.
Give us your expert.
At least someone's staying with you for the rest of the show. I'm going to go and value
You're off, are you?
an old lady's house.
Yeah, okay, David. Well, we're going to now speak to Peter Lawrence, and as you know, you'll know him well, of Lawrence Rand. Got a great business down in Pinner and Ruislip, and the reason we're going to talk to him is on the Kerfuffle website. We do have a white paper that we encourage everyone to download. It's free, and it's basically, as you'll know, giving you the template with which we want you to sort of manage your supplier relationships. So we do encourage everybody to sit down, list all their suppliers, look at the level of satisfaction you're getting out of each of those, the price you're paying, when it's due for it, and we give you a few simple tips in terms of managing that with the white paper itself. And I, just to be honest, I was at an event the other day, and Peter Lawrence said he downloaded it and had some dramatic effects. So obviously we wanted to get him on the show as quickly as possible. So let's give him a ring now, all right?
Hello?
Hi, Pete. It's Simon Whale here from Kerfuffle. You well?
Yeah, very well. Yourself?
Yeah, it's great, mate. Absolutely stonking this fine morning. We were just going to talk to you about some of the things that you'd discussed on the supplier download page from Kerfuffle, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. No problems at all. And a great documentation it is.
What I was just going to say, mate, is we've just spoke about the white paper that obviously the Kerfuffle team came up, and I think it's fair to say you came up to me at one of the shows, and you'd had some dramatic effects with that.
Yeah, so obviously, we was at, I think, did you launch the white paper at the EA Masters?
That's right, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So it was obviously at the EA Masters, and I come to stand and got your book, which was a great insight, and it's, I think for me, it's I do it anyway, but it's good to always have a reminder. And the way that your white paper was presented was probably better than however I'd ever presented it. Obviously, I tweaked it a little bit, which I sent to you.
Yeah, and we encourage that. I think that's really good, yeah. Everyone needs to have their own stamp on it, don't they? But it was...
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to be the, oh, look, this bit of paper coming out yet again, and this bit of paper coming out yet again. And I think for me, I've sent that. I obviously worked with my team and created our own version of it, and then I sent it out to every single supplier that we had. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, and I think what I'm like, I'm a firm believer in having amazing relationships with our suppliers. Yeah. And too many, and I put it out there, and I don't mind putting it out there, too many suppliers will sign you up to a contract, will then... You'll have their services, and then you'll never hear from them again about how they're developing their business to encourage your business to grow.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're ignoring existing, the existing clients. It's the age-old thing, isn't it? They spend all their time looking at new prospects and forget the most important ones.
Absolutely. So me then doing that and then sending that paperwork out to everybody, it's sort of, you know, and I sent it out to not just small suppliers. You know, we're talking of nationally and some of the massive brands in this industry that I've sent it out to. And you know what I'm like. I'm a demo king. I'll trial anything. You know, I'll give anything a go. And if it's going to enhance my business, then I'll give it a go.
And you got some panicky calls back, I bet.
I got calls back and I got emails back saying, "What's all this about?" And that's when people start seeing that and understanding. You know, if you looked at my brand and my culture, you know, my logo is actually for the periodic table because I believe in chemistry and relationships.
Yeah.
So if you have a great relationship, and some of the best traders in the industry state this, you know, if you speak to your wife once a month, you know what, you're not going to have a good relationship. If you speak to her once a week, you'll have an okay relationship, but you speak to her every day, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's about having that consistent relationship with people. Then people then come back to me, and then by me going through that whole exercise, was looking at our suppliers and going, well, is this just a good-to-have platform, or are we actually using it and abusing it to the best we physically can to help Lawrence Rand grow? And then by doing that and analysing it all, and there's some we was using and some we weren't losing, and then I was going to myself, well, if I cut this one away, would it have an issue to you regarding listing houses, selling houses, me, you know, creating a great relationship with customers? Because we're the same supplier. We have to have great relationships with our customers, otherwise we'll lose them. It's the same process.
Yeah.
By doing that, we then saved off around about £40,000.
Wow. Wow, that's across the two branches, yeah, and you
two branches across property management. You know, the way that we've dealt with that. It's the whole, you know, little things like, you know, where'd you get your paper from?
Yeah.
You know, can you get that a little bit cheaper? Where do you get your photocopy machines from? It's not just about the general, you know, is your electric supplier the right electric supplier for your organisation?
But it's having that process, isn't it? It's you know, I think all of us are guilty. You know, whether it's banks or moving to electricity, we all know we could save it, but actually, you know, and it's so easy to do these days. But we, you know, we've got so much on that it just slips by. So just as a matter of interest, you know, we've done many surveys at Kerfuffle, and on average, we've figured out that estate agents have on average 20, you know, estate agency suppliers in their business. Is that about right for you, or because you like your technology, is that a bit more?
Well, no, I think I'll be honest with you. I think we're more than that. We are more than that. I know we are. We're just shy of the 30 when I put it all in together. But again, it's about having the best for the business. So you know, I want, you know, as I always say, if I'm going to go into battle and I'm now at the top of that mountain and all my troops are below me, I need to go into battle first before they go in. Yeah. I need to know that they've got all the right armory in their tank to go into war.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the hill, by the way, just hiding.
Yeah.
Screaming, not in the face.
So for me, I'm really keen to ensure that the guys have the best training, the best facilities, you know, which we're with Stephen Brown, with Troy Malcolm, Peter Knight, great inspiration and a great coach. You know, you guys, we speak to a hell of a lot. There's so many people in this industry, and there's so many people's opinions. Yeah. You know, you've got to pull the best you can, the best out there.
But the reason I was mentioning that as much as anything is, with that many, whether it was 20 suppliers or in your case up to 30, you know, 30 odd, that warrants, doesn't it, an actual process. It can't be accidental, is it? You can't. So many agents I know, you know, sort of just deal with it when they find out, oh bloody hell, we've been signed up to another 3-year contract. You know, signed up without them knowing about it. You've lost all your leverage, and it's just, you know, and too much is just passing by without getting the full value out of it. I think the key thing for me is whether you sit there and you assess with each supplier, and let's say it's, you know, you talk to your troops and they're saying it's only a 6 out of 10, something like that. Well, that gives you the perfect framework. You've either got the ability then to say, look, we really aren't getting the money that we both sat down and agreed the ROI we were expecting. So can we get a reduction in the fee? Or more importantly, come and show us, deliver the training and the project management and everything else, the account management, to get us up to that satisfaction level. Because at the moment, you know, everyone, no one's particularly happy. So we need to either move it into a better place or at least drop the price so that there's not an expectation level.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on there. You know, for me, it's not always about price. You know, there's a lot of suppliers that I pay more than other people pay for, and I know that, and that's cool. That's business, yeah. But for me, it's all about how can we, as a business, get more from that product. we know the big brands out there.
Yeah.
Everyone moans about the big brands and how much they charge and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But my attitude, if we've got to pay it, then we've got to pay it, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But therefore, how can I get more from it?
How much
I
can you
get
leverage?
more?
Yeah, the intangibles.
Yeah, and when I speak to some organisations out there, that they're consistently talking to me about, Pete, we can improve this. Pete, we can develop this. Pete, we can do this. That's great, but when by?
Yeah.
Because you can all have this stuff, but it's about consistently pushing on. And I'm a big, huge. You know what I'm like? I'm a huge driver. I love this industry. I love seeing people develop. I would give as much free advice as I physically can to anybody in this industry to help them grow their business.
Yeah. Well, anyone delivering a new product, you're the man to go to, can't you? Because you'll give them the best advice, won't you? So, well, I've got a lad sat next to me here for Louis from Tennoc. I'll let you listen to the show, but I'll be introducing him to you because I think you've got you might have a wonderful new partnership going forwards. But Pete, that's fantastic news. Thanks for giving us back. You all right if we drop in with you a couple of times over the year and see how that's going?
Absolutely. I think for people out there, they've got to download or get the documentation from you, because that is a great platform to start off at, even if they haven't got time to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Get the document from you and let them send it out. But I think anybody doing this needs to get a process in place. We do it every single quarter. Is what I've been saying to you.
Yeah.
So we don't leave it yearly, half yearly. If we're going to sign a contract with a supplier, we'll only sign it up quarterly at a time. If the supplier's performing, then fantastic, not an issue. We'll stay with them. And if they're not, you know what, we part companies and we move on. Now, I don't want to keep moving companies around because I don't want to be renowned for that. And I do get that sort of name. But the good people, I've got suppliers in my business that have been with me for 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
They're
really worth their weight in gold, aren't they, those ones?
They are. But no, I'm more than happy than you checking in, pal. No issues at all. You could ring in whenever you want. And it'll be great to share some other people's success once you hear a bit more.
That's great. Yeah, we will do that. We'll put all that together. Okay, mate. Cheers.
All right, mate.
Okay. Have a good one. See ya.
Bye, mate. Bye.
Everyone's kerfuffling.